guys, Layna here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is about recovery from anorexia. Today's video is one that I did an Instagram poll on. I asked which video you guys wanted to see first. And today's video is how to fix and to start fixing what the eating disorder has done to your mind. This one was by far the most requested one, because it had about 11 votes, whereas the second place one had 7, and the third place one had 5, and then the last place one had, might have been a tie in the end. But yeah, so this one was highly requested. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay guys, so the first one is very important. Stop engaging in the eating disorder behaviors. So I know this is kind of like boom, right up there, like, whoa, that it can be very, very challenging, and it is very challenging to stop engaging in the behaviors that the eating disorder has put into your life. It is very hard, and you don't have to do it all at once. There is like that all-in recovery, which is a great method if that works for you. It does not work for everyone. For me, I can't just go shove myself in the deep end, or else I start to drown. So I like to do it a little bit at a time, and so far has been working great. So let's just say this week you decide you're going to face a fear of food every day, or you're going to stop engaging in the movement rituals, or stop engaging in restriction, or stop engaging in whatever it is, or you're going to stop restricting certain things. If you need to make it more specific, you could be like, I'm going to stop measuring out X, or I'm going to stop measuring out everything, or I'm going to stop, just little things. I mean, not everybody measures their food out, and not everybody engages in that behavior. Not everybody is engaging in restrictive behaviors. Every eating disorder is different, and that is okay. You are valid no matter what. So just pick something that you feel like you can handle, and as time goes on, you can make it a little bit more challenging until you get to the really big things. So yeah, that's basically the first one, is just trying to stop engaging the behaviors, whether that be fast or just jumping all in, or whether that be one by one. And it's okay if you choose one by one. It's okay if it takes time. It's not a bad thing for it to take time. It's not a bad thing for something to take time. That is not a bad thing. The second one, I actually did a little bit of research on this. So number 2 is positive comments. There was a study done by the Harvard Business Review, and it is about positive comments to criticism. And I know that that's like, oh, that's a business thing. Why are we talking about this? I feel strongly that it can apply when you are talking about yourself as well. So when I look in the mirror, I immediately jump to the things that I don't like about myself, or when I look at pictures of myself, I immediately jump to the things that I don't like about myself. And I start picking myself apart and being negative and saying mean things about myself, right? Well, this study suggests that it takes around 5 positive comments to outweigh a criticism. Or you should give 5 positive to 1 criticism, right? And I'm not saying go criticize yourself on purpose so you can give yourself 5 positive comments. No, I'm saying when you feel yourself talking negatively about you, give yourself 5 positive comments. 5 positive comments. And it is so vital to do this, right? And it doesn't have to be comments about your body. It can be comments about your personality. Try to, if you are struggling with body image, try to not focus all your comments on your body, but do give yourself some compliments like, oh, I really like my hair. Or, oh, I really like X, or something like that. Or, oh, I really like my face shape, right? Something to help you see that you are more than a body. You have a personality. So you can be like, oh, I just love my bubbly personality, or I just love, my enthusiasm, right? So give yourself comments about your personality and your body. Both. A fair mix of both. So that you can see that you are not just a body, but that your body is always beautiful and handsome. So it gives you a mix of both, and it really helps. So I found this study on hbr.org. It's called The Ideal Praise to Criticism Ratio by Zach. I'm trying to read the name. It's really hard to pronounce it. But by Zach Zenger and Joseph Folkman. Sorry if I said those wrong. But it is a really interesting study. So yeah, 5 positive if you can feel yourself starting to give yourself negative comments. And if you give yourself more than 1 negative comment, you gotta give yourself more compliments, guys. You gotta, so you give yourself too many comments, be like, oh, I don't like this, and I really don't like this. Be like, oh, that's 10 positive comments. And then you can start to fix, what the eating disorder has fed to your mind. And your eating disorder is actively telling you mean things that aren't true. And so in order to start fixing what the eating disorder has done to your mind, you have to start feeding yourself positive comments. My mom, ever since a little girl, has tried to help me do this, but I never really embraced it. And I think it's really important. So yeah. All right, the next one is actively going against what your eating disorder tells you and what it has told you in the past. So it's important to, when you're trying to rewire your mind, you can't just stay in the rut of the eating disorder. You need to actively go against it. Like if it tells you, oh, you should take some meat off, you don't. In fact, you could put more on just to actively go against what your eating disorder tells you. If you are having cravings and you want something, and your eating disorder is like, no, you shouldn't have that, you should probably go get something else, something that's safe. No, actively go against it. Go get what you originally were craving, because you need to actively go against it so you can start to rewire your brain and know that it is okay and that you don't need to listen to this voice in your head, because this voice in your head is a demon. It's an evil little demon that is trying to kill you. So it's actively going against your eating disorder and actively going against what it has told you. And it's just as important to go against what it is telling you in the now, but it is also just important to go against what it has told you in the past. So trying to rewire everything that it has told you, and that may be a little bit overwhelming to do it all at once, but so just one at a time, It's really important to take it one step at a time. If you want to jump in and tackle everything, and if that works for you, perfect. But if it does not, that does not work for you, and you want to take it one step at a time, that is perfect too, and that is totally okay. As I've saw this quote, it is okay to go slow as long as you don't stop. It's okay to take it one step at a time as long as you're not stopping. As long as you don't just stay where you are and stay in a rut and just stay there. You have to keep moving forward. 4 is reaffirm and reassure. So this is important because the eating disorder likes to over and over feed negative and false things to you. It likes to keep telling you things that aren't true, right? So in order to counteract that, you need to over and over reassure and reaffirm and reassure and reaffirm. So when I feel stressed, I start to get stressed because I feel like I have to have the perfect day of eating. I try to engage in my food rules, and my food rules constantly, my eating disorder keeps feeding my food rules to me. When this happens, I reaffirm and reassure. So I sit down, well, I don't have to sit down, but I focus and I say, what did your eating disorder doctor tell you? A carb is a carb. A grain is a grain. It doesn't matter if you have chips for dinner and chips for lunch, because a grain is a grain. Period. And I just repeat, a grain is a grain, a carb is a carb, grains and carbs are the same thing. But a carb is a carb, a carb is a carb. And I tell it myself over and over and over and over until I calm down. Because they know what they're doing. And I need to trust them. So a carb is a carb. That's what I tell. That's like one example. That's just one example. That's what I tell myself when I start to freak out about food stress and trying to have the perfect way of eating. Because in reality, any day of eating where you are nourishing your body and feeding yourself is a perfect day of eating. Any day that you are listening to your cravings and honoring your hunger, and that means honoring your mental hunger too, and honoring your cravings, is a perfect day of eating. So yeah. And the last one, I find this is helpful in situations where you just, none of these things are working, and you need something in the here and now right away. Because when you're trying to rewire your brain, it's often a process of mentally talking back to your eating disorder and physically talking back to your eating disorder, right? Because you're physically talking back to your eating disorder by going against what it's telling you and doing the opposite and not engaging the behaviors, and mentally you're battling it and talking back, right? Sometimes, if the eating disorder is really loud and you just need it to go away, a good way to rewire your brain is talk aloud to your eating disorder as if it is an actual person. One way I start to think about this is I feel like I'm SpongeBob, and you know how things can crawl into little sponge holes in his head and just sit in his brain? That's what I feel like. I feel like the eating disorder did that. Just crawled into my sponge holes and is sitting in my brain, and I will be like, look, out loud, physically out loud, as if I'm talking to someone right in front of me. I imagine as if I'm talking to the eating disorder in my head, as if it is something that is like if it's an actual person or being in my head. I tell them, listen up. You can go frick off because I'm not going to listen to you. And I'd appreciate it if you left me alone. Because guess what? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. You're not going to control my life. I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm not going to back down. And just because you're sitting in my head feeding me lies, feeding me negative comments, doesn't mean I'm going to bow down to you and let you take over my life. I've tried that. I was miserable. No, it's not happening. And eventually, just like in SpongeBob, it will start to crawl out of your head. So yeah, I know that's kind of weird to think about, but whenever I think about like eating disorder being in my, like it's sitting in my head, like I feel like there's something in my head, and it's like a voice. There's a voice in my head, and it's hard to describe to people. It's hard to describe. I have a voice in my head, right? It makes you sound, I'd be like, wow, you're crazy. I'd be like, no, I'm not crazy. I just feel like SpongeBob, and as if like a little creature crawled into the holes, like the sponge holes in my head. So if you needed to think about it, like if you have a hard time explaining it to anyone, just use the SpongeBob method. I'm gonna patent it. I'm trademarking it. The SpongeBob method. Or the SpongeBob theory. Yeah, the SpongeBob theory. Yes, that's what I'm calling it. The SpongeBob theory. Okay. So, yes. If you need to explain it to anyone, just use the SpongeBob theory, guys. It honestly probably would help people understand a little bit more about what we're talking about. Because the people will be like, you didn't used to have that eating disorder voice. Where did it come from? Be like, well, it came from Bikini Bottom. So yeah, it might be plankton, who knows, right? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. These are just a few of the many ways that you can start to rewire your brain and undo what your eating disorder has told you and what your eating disorder has done to your mind. These are just a few of the millions of ways that you can start to fix what happened, fix what the eating disorder is doing to you, and yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. So you can be notified when I post. Here is my Instagram. I post there a lot. So yeah, and here is my TikTok. I don't post there as much. I prefer Instagram. But yeah, anyways. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep kicking eating disorder butt, guys. And remember that it is possible to undo what the eating disorder has done to your mind. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys.